Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. So, this is a retake of Answer Monday because I'm going to be honest with you guys, I could not find the reference I had on one of them. And I don't want to leave something out there that is potentially incorrect, even though I did see it. I just can't find my reference. So, I'm going to present the answers again. If you're following along, you'll know which one I'm talking about. So again, sorry about that, but you're not having deja vu. This is literally, I had to retake this again. Okay, so let's start with the first one. The first one is hypothyroidism and fatigue. So I only got E03.9. Now, the only reason that I only got that one is because fatigue is a symptom of hypothyroidism. Now, how did I know this? I went and I did a quick search on the internet about what are the symptoms of hypothyroidism. So some of the symptoms were dry hair, dry skin, changes in menstrual cycle, and fatigue. So then I know that the fatigue is covered by the hypothyroidism. So then I don't pick up the fatigue. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is chronic pain syndrome. I got G89.4. So when you're looking this up in the book, it doesn't come up under syndrome if you're trying to look it up that way. And it's not going to come up specifically listed as chronic pain syndrome. So you basically have to go to the section that the chronic pain is in, which is the G89. So when you're looking in that section, if you look down, you'll be able to see that it comes up specifically chronic pain syndrome. So that's just one of those things to look for. That's going to happen to you sometimes in the book where you can't necessarily find what you're looking for in the index. But if you can get it into the ballpark, when you get to the section, you'll be able to find it. Okay, so that's that one. So number three is COPD and asthma unspecified. I got J44.9 only. So this is because when you have a patient with COPD and asthma, okay, obviously these are two separate conditions. But if the asthma is not further specified, if it is listed as asthma unspecified with COPD, or even if the patient has COPD and just asthma unspecified, you're only going to code the COPD. And the way to know this is there's an includes notes when you look under COPD that says it includes asthma with COPD. So that's how we know not to put those two together. However, there's always a caveat to things in medical coding. If you have a patient who has an asthma that is specified, like severe or intermittent, moderate, those are specified forms of asthma, then you can code each one of them separately. But if it is listed as asthma unspecified, you're only going to code the COPD. So that's just one of those other detail things that I hope you guys are looking out for when you are starting to look up diagnoses in the book. Okay. Number four is IBS with constipation. And I got K58.1. Now, you may be wondering to yourself, well, constipation seems like it would be a symptom of IBS. And actually it is. Constipation, diarrhea, or a mix of the two, obviously, is symptoms of IBS. But when we look up irritable bowel syndrome in the index and we go down a few paces, we see that there's a specific code that has IBS with constipation. So this is just another thing to look at when they have details like this. If there's a code that specifically pinpoints this, because I guess sometimes people with IBS can have diarrhea or just constipation or a mixture of both. So there's going to be a specific code for those. So IBS was quite interesting on this one. But yeah, that was the answer for that one. And number five is cervical radiculopathy and lumbago. This is where I could not find my reference. So the codes are M54.12 for the cervical radiculopathy and M54.5 for the lumbago. And I'm going to leave it at that. Okay, so the next one, number six. Bilateral carpal tunnel is G56.03. This is just another one of those ones where it is straightforward. It is a single diagnosis for a bilateral condition, which this is a very good thing. So that's the answer to that one. And some of these ones that I'm giving you guys are just very straightforward. There's really no sort of rhyme or reason about why I pick really easy ones. Sometimes I just kind of throw in there. But this way you're kind of always like on guard to look and see, you know, what it is that, you know, is being presented. Okay, so number 7 is altered mental status. So it is R41.82. Now, I brought this one up because it's altered mental status. There's 3 different words. If you look under status, it's not going to be there. If you look under mental, it's not going to be there either. But if you go to your action word, which is status, which is altered, and it always makes you think of like hippies and hey man. So I use that as my action word. So when you go to altered in the index, it's right there. So you'll be able to find it that way. So always remember to kind of look at your action words. Okay, number 8 is migraine with aura, is G43.109. And this is just one of those detailed ones because there's plenty listed under migraine. So this is just plain migraine with aura. So there's your code. And number 9 is atypical anorexia with the nurse documenting the BMI as 22. I got F50.9 and Z68.22. Now, why did I make the nurse such a point in this little question? Is because if you look on the tip for the BMI, right? This says the BMI can be based on documentation by other people that are essentially treating the patient. So a good example of that would be the nurse. So in the outpatient setting, in any sort of setting for medical coding, we don't take anything from the nurses, but we can take very rare things, and one of the very rare things is the BMI. So that's why I was able to pick up that BMI of 22, because the nurse documented it, and the nurse is still involved with the patient's care. So that's the answer to that one. And finally, if I was technologically advanced, I said this yesterday, if I was technologically advanced, I would insert a drum roll here. But we're going to work with it, okay? So the final one was CKD Stage 4 with diabetes type 1 on insulin, on dialysis, with chronic diastolic congestive heart failure. I got E10.22, N like Nancy 18.4, I 50.32, and Z 99.2. So let's back up a little bit. So the E10.22 and N18.4 covers the CKD and diabetes, because you can put them two together, okay? The I50.32 covers the chronic diastolic congestive heart failure, which is by itself, and because this particular scenario did not include hypertension, this is why it didn't all go together. So that's one of those detail things you have to look out for. So hopefully you got it, because this is something that used to get me in the beginning too. And I was like, oh yeah, this and this. No, you got to make sure that you're looking at all those. So when I was in school, this used to hang me up. So just be sure to look out for those things. And then of course, we're not going to pick up the insulin because the patient is a type 1 diabetic. And we've talked about that in last Quiz Friday, answer Monday. So yes, remember, just keep that in mind. Type 1 diabetes, you're not going to pick up the insulin, okay? And then for the dialysis is Z99.2. And there you go. There you have it. So there's all your answers. And again, like I said, I am sorry about yesterday. This is a retake. So if you're watching this, no, you're not losing your mind. I actually did do the answers twice. So I will be back for today's episode of Q&A Tuesday, and I will see y'all later. Bye.